But Justin Fields, in my mind, has more talent, but he also has the production and the pedigree that Trey Lance does not have. You know, Big Ten Player of the Year, 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So he's done it, but he also has the talent as well. So the concerns with Trey Lance are he does not have the experience and he needs to play. Well, playing in practice does not get it done. You have to play in games. So now he gets to San Francisco. If Jimmy G stays healthy, he still won't play. So now you're looking at a guy this year who played one game. If he doesn't play next year, you're going on 2 years where he only played one game, and he really needs to play in games, not practices. So this is a little bit risky for me when there was a much better option, in my view, with Justin Fields, who had the talent and the pedigree and production.
So let's do like a little bit of a resume reset here. 17 starts. He actually had a lot of diversity with starting under center and out of the shotgun. He's a rusher. He had 49 forced missed tackles per PFF. He had about 913 of his rushing yards of his 1,113 after contact, which means he can get to the second level. He was really efficient in play action, and he didn't turn the ball over, just one interception. So this is a low turnover guy, which could fit the mold. And I kind of think if you're going to give someone some trust, it's going to be Kyle Shanahan, because this is a person who has proven that he can make it work.
Speaking of trust, Shanahan said just last week that Jimmy is actually the perfect person to have a rookie QB come in under and really mold him in that QB dynamics. Face out. But as we're talking about QB, show of hands, who thought Justin Fields was going to drop just below top 10? I didn't, but he's now a Chicago Bear. Well played by Chicago there. I like it. I like it a lot. David, what did you think about this?
Well, as Mark laid out, I mean, Justin Fields is an unbelievable talent, and he's the steal of the draft. I don't think that anyone in Chicago thought that they would have the opportunity to draft Justin Fields, and when he became closer, they just jumped up and grabbed him. I know Adam Rank's got to be stoked. I mean, everybody that I know that is a Chicago Bears fan has got to be jumping out of their seat, because you've seen the quarterback issues that they've had over the last couple of years, missing out on Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and now they find their guy. And Justin is an absolute winner. I love this kid. I love everything about him. I think that the sky's the limit. I think he's saved Matt Nagy's job. I think Mark talked about this when we were watching the draft. I think he saved the GM's job as well. This guy's a dynamic player. You're not going to worry about missing out on Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. If you come in and put the right system around this guy, which I think Matt can do, has done that before, and Bill Lazor is obviously a guy that can do that as well, I think he's going to be dynamic in Chicago.
Yeah, and I agree, David. And I think the GM who traded up to get Mitch Trubisky and gave up those picks said, we need to fix this. And we need to find a guy that's dynamic, that can do everything in Matt Nagy's offense, because Matt Nagy wasn't there when they drafted Mitchell Trubisky. Now, in saying that, I hope they have a plan for this young man. They couldn't figure it out with Mitch. And I know it's a different talent, and I know Justin Fields has a better arm. He's accurate. He has more production in college than Mitch did. Another guy who didn't really have a lot of success or a lot of games played in college. But Justin Fields, he does. He checks all the boxes in all those different categories. Now, if he comes in and they have a plan, and they do have talent, they keep talent around them, they run the football, they bring some balance, I think this kid will flourish. And it's a great city for a big-time player, and I think Matt Nagy knows exactly what to do with him.
Yeah, I thought this was the best move of draft night. And yesterday when I was on, I said which team could move up, and it had to be the Bears, because with Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, you couldn't put your job on the line and say, we're going to trust Andy Dalton to keep our jobs for us. We got to make a move and do something. And they did exactly that. And Justin Fields, as David mentioned, is a winner. And Willie, you mentioned the Mitch Trubisky year. Well, they learned their lesson. There was a guy in that draft, Deshaun Watson, who when you watched him play, all he did was win. And you say, that guy's the best player on the field. And I see similarities with that, where you watch Justin Fields, every game you watch him play, and you say he's the best player on the field. And that's why I think Chicago fans should be excited. This is not Trubisky. It's more of a Deshaun Watson type of talent, the winner, the leadership, the playmaking, the character, everything you want in a franchise quarterback, especially in a city like Chicago. That's important as well. What young man can handle that? He's been a star his whole life, goes to Chicago, it won't faze him. He's going to play and produce. I think, and be a star there in Chicago.
The fit is ridiculous here as well. You got a top third O-line, which is a really nice condition to work under. You look back at what Justin Fields is really good at. From a clean pocket, 54 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. Best touchdown to interception rate in college football. That's excellent. That means a really good thing for him. Also scrambling, 630 scrambling yards and 5 scrambling touchdowns. Really helpful to get that kind of dynamic. You can use your feet. You can use the throws. You can make all of these different things that Matt Nagy does know how to orchestrate. Then, and learning behind Andy Dalton, also a really good opportunity for him to develop and not have the pressure of necessarily being the starter day one.
Wait, did you say behind Andy Dalton?
Oh, okay, we're going to get there.
At least to start. It's draft night. I saw their Twitter thing. They said Andy's their starter, and everything you see on Twitter is true.
That's true. Oh, right, obviously, Cynthia. Right. All right, listen, we always know there's at least one big, bold move. I did not think it was going to be the Bears. I love this for you, Chicago. Yes, a night full of NFL dreams becoming reality. But there was also a little drama in the mix as well. Aaron Rodgers unhappy with the Packers as negotiations on a contract extension continue to drag on. NFL insider Ian Rappaport reported the two sides have been negotiating a long-term contract for weeks. With no deal done now, Rodgers remains unhappy, leaving room for a little concern in Green Bay. Now, Packers GM Brian Gutekunst released this statement saying, quote, "As we've stated since the season ended, we are committed to Aaron in 2021 and beyond. Aaron has been a vital part of our success, and we look forward to competing for another championship with him leading our team." All right, a lot of rumors swirling around this, of course, all day long today. Can we let the prospects have a day? I mean, dang. No, we cannot is the answer to that. I want to get a little QB perspective here. David, what do you think is going on over there with Aaron?
Look, I'll leave the front office stuff to Mark, and he can talk about that and what the numbers might be and what that issue might be. But I just know from a playing standpoint, I have a hard time sometimes when I think about what Aaron complains about. I mean, you got Devontae Adams, you got all pro tackles, you got a great running back, you got Matt LaFleur, who's a top 10 play caller, in my opinion. Maybe your defense isn't as good as you want to be, and maybe you get ran by the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs, and you get beat by the Bucs on a throw at the end of the half that shouldn't have happened. But those things happen, man. And so for me, I think that there's some things that need to be fixed that maybe aren't players. Maybe it's not the guys around it. Maybe it is front office. Maybe it is money. Maybe it's something along those lines. They did draft Jordan Love. I get that. That's very clear. They went and got a corner because, this last year, all I remember seeing is King getting ran by in the playoffs. So they're trying to solve those problems. If it is a financial thing, then that's one thing. But from a playing standpoint, it's not always going to be greener on the other side. Some of these other teams that you're talking about going to, maybe they're not as good as the Green Bay Packers, and maybe you can go out and draft guys and playmakers around you. But I feel like he's got a pretty good situation there, so it's got to be something else.
Yeah, Dave, from a front office point of view, they're not just going to let Aaron Rodgers go for nothing. They've got the guy. They're trying to make it work. I think Aaron wants to get extended, but Green Bay wants to restructure it. As a GM, you always have to look out for the short term, but also the long term of the franchise. But Justin Fields, in my mind, has more talent, but he also has the production and the pedigree that Trey Lance does not have. Big Ten Player of the Year, 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So he's done it, but he also has the talent as well. So the concerns with Trey Lance are he does not have the experience and he needs to play. Well, playing in practice does not get it done. You have to play in games. So now he gets to San Francisco. If Jimmy G stays healthy, he still won't play. So now you're looking at a guy this year who played one game. If he doesn't play next year, you're going on 2 years where he only played one game, and he really needs to play in games, not practices. So this is a little bit risky for me when there was a much better option, in my view, with Justin Fields, who had the talent and the pedigree and production.
So let's do like a little bit of a resume reset here. 17 starts. He actually had a lot of diversity with starting under center and out of the shotgun. He's a rusher. He had 49 forced missed tackles per PFF. He had about 913 of his rushing yards of his 1,113 after contact, which means he can get to the second level. He was really efficient in play action, and he didn't turn the ball over, just one interception. So this is a low turnover guy, which could fit the mold. And I kind of think if you're going to give someone some trust, it's going to be Kyle Shanahan, because this is a person who has proven that he can make it work.
Speaking of trust, Shanahan said just last week that Jimmy is actually the perfect person to have a rookie QB come in under and really mold him in that QB